Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to Lunchtime Live Game Recap and Reaction Show. I'm your host or co-host, Stephanie, aka Queen, joined by co-host Geoff Klafter of the Happily Ever Klafter Daily Sports Blog. Geoff, great win last night, in my opinion, against a quality opponent. I thought the Knicks, when Mike Brown got here and he talked about how he wanted the Knicks to play, I thought last night was at least how I envisioned it, and I think how he envisioned it as well. And to your point, we were talking before we went on, it's still early in the season, right? So they can still get better at it. Before we get into the nitty gritty, shout out to the chat, by the way, replay gang and the silent listeners. What's your overall view of take on last night?
Well, first, I want to echo what Steve Popper said. That forget about Medicaid and Medicare and just go to Madison Square Garden Care, because Anthony Edwards is supposed to be out 2 weeks at a minimum with that hamstring injury. The New York Knicks come into the schedule, and all of a sudden it's miracle healing, and he's ready to go. And so, but I thought that was actually better because they didn't have any excuses last night. I mean, Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo both played well and shot at a high level. I mean, you can argue that Edwards wasn't his best, but they had pretty much all hands on deck, and we slapped those hands with a ruler like we were a Catholic school nun. I mean, we just really eviscerated them last night. I don't think they've given up that many points in a game in like over 2 years. I mean, defensively, that's kind of their identity, especially with Rudy Gobert in the lineup. And so for us to score 80 something points in the second half is really encouraging. And you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the season when Julius Randle got hurt. And we played Minnesota at the Garden in that stretch where we got really, really hot and we just absolutely blew their doors off. Kind of had the same feel to it last night. But I think just in an overall picture, and I know we're going to get into individual performances, but I think overall, my most encouraging thing is this wasn't a Towns 35-point performance. It wasn't a Jalen Brunson goes off and shoots 70% performance. Our two stars played well, but they kind of took a background role almost. And it was OG Anunoby and some Mitchell Robinson and Deuce McBride and some of these other guys who aren't the guy who were the guys last night. And so for me, that was the biggest takeaway last night. Not just that we won, not just by the margin by which we won, but how we won. It was a complete and total team effort, and just phenomenal for this early in the season. And what I like is we're establishing MSG as a tough place to come in and play.
Right. Facts.
Right. In seasons past, Kobe Bryant comes in here and scores 60 or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like it was a play. We always get our opponent's best, and it's always like, oh, good, we're coming to MSG. Now it's like, oh, we're going to MSG because that's our third opponent in a row that we've lambasted. And on this homestand, and the only loss the Chicago Bulls have on the season to date, by the way, beating up on the Wizards, everybody does that, but to follow that up with a really strong performance against a good Minnesota team, or Tiny Coke, as I like to call them on the blog, what was really encouraging. But we got to keep it up. Like, we can't have a letdown and play poorly against the Nets on Sunday, I think it is. But
Sunday, it is. Yeah. You know how when the Knicks, don't shoot well, and like we talk about all the other things that, went wrong in the game, and then we'll just chalk it up and be like, look, you could talk about whatever you want to talk about. When you shoot 30-something% from the field and 20-something% from the 3-point line, you're not winning, period. We could talk about all these other things. Well, to me, I felt like it was just the opposite last night. When you shoot efficiently, and I believe it was over 50% from the field, over 40% from three. On top of that, you take almost, if not almost 20 more shots than the opponent. And then on top of that, you get 24 offensive rebounds and you turn them into 30 something second chance points. You can't lose that way. Like you're going to win. You're going to win. And that's what the Knicks did. Like I always feel, other than the build of the team a few years ago where we needed offensive rebounds, because we just weren't an efficient, shooting team, right? So we had to get to the line. We had to get up volume, and we had to depend on second chance points. Since then, I felt like, we're a pretty efficient team. We needed to get our volume up, but we're a pretty efficient team. You know, Offensive rebounds is a luxury. Let me tell you, when you are efficient and you can get offensive rebounds and convert them in second chance, like you're going to be hard to beat. You're going to be hard to beat. And the Knicks, not just Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks are a really good offensive rebounding team. I think OG had a few, maybe 5 last night, him or Cat. One of them had like 5 offensive rebounds last night. A few other players chipped in with offensive rebounds, 30. So I'm like, first of all, the Knicks shot over 50%. There wasn't even a lot. How many rebounds did Minnesota even have? If you're shooting over 50% and you're grabbing 21 or whatever it was offensive rebounds, like I mean that was impressive last night, just from the efficiency, rebounding, second chance points point of view. And then we'll get into, and I'll let you pick where you want to start. Mitch, Deuce, OG, and whoever else. Thank you, Sherwin. He said OG had 5 offensive rebounds and Cat had 3. The last thing I want to say, and then I'll shoot it over to you, is the Knicks are scoring. Like we're getting a sense of the team's shot diet. At the rim, 3-point shooting, free throws. I'm not saying we don't shoot in the mid-range, we do, but it seems like we're trying to get to the rim, hit the threes, limit the mid-range, particularly the long mid-range, and get to the free throw line. And we'll talk about it more on the weekly show tonight. It seems like that's what they're doing, at least as of late. Anything you want to add to that, and wherever you want to go next is good.
So to piggyback off what you said, 102 field goal attempts in 48 minutes is a lot.
How many more than them? Let me check.
20
they had
or 21, I think.
They had 83.
Oh, so it's just
and
19.
We had 102, 19. I mean, come on.
Well, it's crazy because they shot the 3-point better than we did. They were 19 of 40. We were 19 of 42. Both excellent. They got to the free throw line twice as much as we did and outscored us by 8 or 9 at the charity stripe. And they still lost by over 20 points, and it wasn't really that close.
Because of the volume. Yeah,
the volume makes a huge difference. And I want to, we'll get back to that when we talk about Mitchell Robinson, but I think it would be a criminal if we didn't start off with OG Anunoby in this game. Yeah. I just thought it was a quintessential OG game. He's been phenomenal from beyond the arc on high volume this year. His defense is incredible. His ball handling last night and making plays off the dribble was really good. He did everything that you could ask or want him to do, and he looked every part the part of an all-star last night, in my opinion. I thought he was fantastic, and they had no answer for him on either end of the court. He was just phenomenal and incredible, and I just have to salute that effort. I mean, he did it all last night, and you want to talk about the catalyst for rushing and bone crushing a team. He was it last night. He was on it, and just fun to watch, man. That stretch at the start of the fourth quarter, I think it was he and Jordan Clarkson and they were just they took
it hard, I believe.
Yeah, and they just took the lead from like 8 to like 20, and like and it was on the defensive end, and then getting back, and then and making smart decisions and in transition, and just it was beautiful basketball. When you're talking about scoring 137 points, that and only allowing 114, I think that's terrific considering the way that they shot and the pace of the game. I thought that was a pretty good defensive performance too. But the Knicks, I think, are top they're top in both offensive and defensive rebounding percentage.
They
Um,
are. They are.
right
I don't.
now.
I want to. I don't. I want to piggyback off of OG before you go on to
Okay,
another
go ahead.
point. Yeah, Jeff, and like you said, we could have started with anybody, but OG is a really good place to start. He is really turning into a two-way player. Remember, we would see him as a defensive player, and the offense was just gravy. He's just kind of inconsistent. Well, this was his fourth straight 20-point game. He scores in multiple ways facing up, in the post, in transition. Yeah, he's just really doing it all. He had, to your point, 8 of the Knicks' 12 fourth quarter points. And
Felt
on the
like it.
season, yeah, 18.1 points, 6 rebounds. And we wanted him to get his rebounds up, right? 6 rebounds on the season, 2.4 assists, 2.4 steals per game, shooting 48.6% from the field, 41.4% from from behind the arcs, and one of the tops in the league, if not the tops in made corner threes. I think shooting like over 50% from the corner. Him and Bridges are just killing it from from the corner. So just yeah. He's just, we talking about Bridges as that third or maybe even second All-Star, but I think OG is making a case for himself as well. He's been phenomenal to start the
Queen,
season.
if we boat race the elite teams in the league like this, both of them are going to get All-Star nominated. It'll be four of them. And that's not hyperbole or homerism or anything else. If they continue to play at this level and we're beating top teams by 25 points,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to have 4 All-Stars, and it's going to be OG and Bridges, and rightfully so, because Bridges didn't score a whole lot last night, but he was efficient from 3, and he had 5 assists, I'm wanting to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again, so his that secondary playmaker that we were
Mm-hmm.
asking for,
Yep.
Bridges is stepping up and filling that role, and that's with Brunson having a good assist game, right?
He had 10. Yeah.
So the ball is really moving, and was it D'Antoni who used to say the ball has energy?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're seeing that with this team over the last 3 games. The ball has energy, and the more that it moves, and the more that we pass, and the more that we assist, the more these guys get involved, and the better shots they're getting. Even Josh Hart was hitting 3-point shots. I mean, so
Yeah. I'm not getting comfortable with that. He's been pretty good over the past 2 games. Um, I like the fact that he's not hesitating to pull the trigger. And I also like the fact that when it looks like he's hesitating, instead of passing it to somebody, he drives now. Instead of just he drives now. And when he drives, good things, I don't know what the stats say, but to the eye test, good things happen when he drives the basket. He's either finishing at the rim or, hitting, setting other people up. But I'm not getting too comfortable with his 3-point shooting. But the past
we're
2
just
games,
talking
it's been
about
good.
this game, right? We're not talking about the season. In this game, he shot the ball really well, and that makes a difference, because I think that the players watch the show and they're listening to you, Queen, because 2 games ago or 3 games ago, whatever it was, you said the Knicks can't be a 20-point per game team off the bench. Well, they were a 53-point team off the bench last night, and I think they were plus 27 in terms of bench scoring. That's not a Knick team that I recognize from anywhere. Like, it's this bench, and credit to Clarkson. I thought, especially in the fourth quarter, his process was dynamic and outstanding. He's hitting perimeter shots when he's getting them. And you know, I've been as critical as anyone. I thought he played really, really well. Josh Hart was good. Deuce McBride.
Deuce was good. Jeff, let's give them one at a time. Let's give them one
Okay,
at a time.
sorry.
Where you want to go next? Where do you want to go? Where you want to go next?
Well, let's stay with Jordan for a minute, because I really thought that his process was good. I thought that he made shots. I liked how he's attacking the basket, right? And I like his decision making has been pretty good. And it was the previous game, and the telecast said that he's getting the easiest shots of his career. Right. And I think that is meaningful, but also there are times, multiple times, even in that fourth quarter, where it looked like the play clock was winding down and it looked like we weren't going to get a shot. And here comes Clarkson, gets the ball, makes a really nice place. Once it was a pass, but the other time he took a little inside shot and put it in. Man, when he can do stuff like that is playoff basketball. That makes a big difference. So, you know, I've been really critical of him, but when I think it's important that when players play well, we have to give them their flowers, and when they don't play well, that we're critical of them. And I thought that he was really good last night in limited minutes.
Yeah, he only played 16 minutes, 3 of 6 from the field. I thought he shot worse than that, but 3 of 6 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. I'm pulling for him. I agree with you. Sometimes he can be erratic, particularly early in the season. He was erratic and rushing shots, taking bad shots. But things have seemed to smooth out. And to your point, I think his process is better. I'm rooting for him. I'm pulling for him because in the playoff, you need guys like him. So I just really hope he continues to, find his groove on this team. I'm having a hard time picking between Deuce and Mitch, but let's go with Mitch. I thought Deuce was phenomenal. We'll get to him. Mitch looked like himself last night. He's playing in these little spurts, and I said, "Wow, it's kind of hard to for him to get into his groove in these short spurts that he's playing in." He said, "Hold my beer, Queen." He came in his little spurts, and he was just phenomenal. And when I say he's looking like himself, it's not even the rebounds. He had 10 rebounds. I think 9 of them was offensive. It was the second effort. So he blocked the 3 and then contested the next 3, and it was the next pass, and it was a cross-court pass. And Mitchell Robinson was there to contest that shot. Then he got a tip dunk, offensive rebound, dunked it. And then on the very next play, sprinted down and got the block. That's what I'm saying when I'm saying Mitchell Robinson is back to himself in terms of those second effort. He was felt last night, not just statistically, but the energy, the putbacks, the block shots, the second chance opportunities, switching out, moving his feet. He switched out on Randall. Randall still got to the rim, but Mitchell Robinson's length bothered him, and he wasn't able to complete the shot. So Mitchell Robinson was phenomenal. And I love it. I love it because of the the lineup versatility that we have. Like, all of the negatives about Mitchell Robinson are negated because of the roster. He's not hitting free throws. He doesn't need to close. Something is going on in the game. The offense is not fluid. Take him out. Put in somebody else. I feel like we can get the best of Mitchell Robinson, and we have the roster to limit the negatives. Your thoughts? I was gonna say president, but we got Sherwin, we got Delusional, we got Ebony from Nick of Time.
Maybe the treasurer or the chaplain. Probably the chaplain.
Right. The chaplain. Okay. Thoughts on Mitchell Robinson? I'm sorry, I'm real excited about Mitch today.
Almost a double-double, right? 8 points, 10 rebounds.
Facts.
And what I like about it is this: the playing with spacers around him magnifies his offensive rebounding capabilities, right? When you have when you have space, and I saw there was one possession where I forget who was in Minnesota. He literally turned around and like banged his chest to push him out of the way. And Robinson ended up getting the offensive rebound anyway. Like he's just so strong. And Steven Adams, the only other person in the league who is this prolific on the offensive rebounding front, and he's able to do it at a better clip because of the players that are surrounding him. When you have everybody else on the game is a shooting threat and is dynamic, what do you do? Because you're forced to pay attention to all of those players, and it doesn't seem like anybody can block Robinson out one-on-one. Like if he's on the offensive glass going hard to it, you're not going to box him out. And it's funny because 2 years ago, that was our offense, right? Shoot a miserable percentage, and he and Hartenstein go get everything on the offensive glass, and then rely on your stars. Well, last night, our stars were secondary, and the offensive glass was kind of a bonus because we shot the ball so well, and we were just a juggernaut that was absolutely unstoppable because all of those things came together, and they're not our team identity anymore. But we still have those that we can fall back on. And because we can fall back on 16 quality minutes of Mitch, I thought he was utilized perfectly last night. And he did more in those 16 minutes than we've seen him do in 25 in seasons past. I mean, it was highly effective, short burst minutes, which I think is the way to go to keep him healthy through the season and into the playoffs. And I think what last night showed more than anything is that we do need to have him in the protective bubble during the regular season, and the load management is the right way to go, because when he's on his game and he's doing Mitch things, it helps this basketball team win on both sides of the court. And that was impressive last night. He was really good, but he was probably the fourth or fifth best player on the team last night, which says a lot about
it says a lot. And what he did last night in 16 minutes, coming into the game, I think he's only played 33 minutes for the season coming into last night. If I read or heard that, I consume a lot of Knick content. So if I read or heard that correctly, I think he's only played 33 minutes this season. And last night was his best performance out of the whole 33 minutes combined. He's getting his feet under him. And with these short bursts, maybe, it's possible for him to do this because, over time, the more you're on the court, the less energy you have. So if he's playing in these short bursts, and he's healthy, we might be able to get second and third efforts from him like we saw last night, because he has the energy to do so. Yeah, really great. Sherwin has a question. Steph, do you think Mitch will be paid $30 million now? No. Listen, we all know what Mitchell Robinson can do, and I take it that you mean $30 million per year. We all know what Mitchell Robinson can do, right? He played 16 minutes, so his energy was great. I don't know if we get that type of effort over 25 million. And not just that, when you're paying a guy $30 million, you're not paying a guy with an injury history $30 million a year. And you're also not paying a guy who's only averaged 24 to 26 minutes a game $30 million a year. So I appreciate Mitchell Robinson. I think he is perfect for this particular team. I think he raises our ceiling. What he did last night is what we knew he can do. But again, the injury history is still there, and it was still 16 minutes. He doesn't play a lot of minutes per game. And I think the NBA is moving in such a way in terms of how teams are crafting their offenses is that you really need an offensive center. Now, having a defensive center in your rotation is great, but you need an offensive center in today's NBA, and in my opinion. So, the Knicks, the Knicks have their concerns as well, right? Because they haven't extended him, and they had every opportunity to do so. So it remains to be seen. I think he's valuable, Sharon, but not $30 million a year. That's just my
not in this era of tax aprons and those sorts of things either.
that
I mean,
too.
in other words, if you're paying him 35 million, it's costing you probably 100 million. Because
Yeah.
of tax penalties and everything else. It's really expensive, and he doesn't produce so much in his 15 or 16 minutes that you can hamstring the rest of your roster in that way, especially given what you just said, that the league is really moving away from the archetype of him as a player. I would struggle to give him a Josh Hart level contract, to be honest. Like, if it's going to cost that much, as much as I like him, I think you kind of got to let him go at that, even at that price range. So,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see kind of where he falls. I think he can be a valuable part of this team, but again,
What?
availability is huge. But when he's on the court, even for a little bit, we've seen what a great impact he can make with this group and in this system. And I think that's what's important, is that he elevates his teammates when he plays with this team, and that is important, I think, because that this is the journey that we're on, right? And so the more we get out of him, the better off we're going to be. And look, it helps us in a lot of ways, because if he's only playing 16 minutes, that's more minutes for Cat at the 5, which I think is ways to maximize him. It's also a good way to get Yabusele minutes, and I think that's something that we definitely want to do. And it gives you flexibility with how you play Anunoby. And so there's a lot of benefit to being able to plug him in, even if it's for 16 minutes a night.
Yeah, for sure. Loving Mitch, loving his role. Let's get to McBride. Got more minutes last night than the past 2 nights games. Got more minutes than Shamit last night, and Deuce McBride was sharp on both ends of the floor. He was knocking down his shots. The Knicks were outscored when Deuce was off the floor. Shout out to KFS for that. Yeah, they were outscored when Deuce was off the floor. He was great on both sides of the ball, and he's he has the gravity, he has the defense, he helps lineups whether he's scoring or not. He's a plus to any lineup. But when he's knocking down that shot, it just changes everything. And last night he was. I just want him to be. I'm not taking anything away, Deuce. I just need you to knock down 40% of your shots every night.
Yeah.
Every night. Talk to me about Deuce.
See, I think Deuce is the key to unlocking Bridges and OG defensively, because when Deuce is manned with the point of attack, I think that helps us a whole lot, because that means that both Bridges and Anunoby get to play more of a free safety role. And I think that's where they excel, with their length and being able to bother people and get in passing lanes for those steals and those sorts of things. So I think that having a stellar point of attack defender and not having to rely as much with McCall on that, and I thought McCall did a good job of that when he was tasked with it, but him not having to do it all game is helpful for us too. And when Deuce is right, and it felt like he was out of his emotional fog last night. I honestly think that he was still, understandably in his feelings about, losing his grandma and all of those things. Look, he's human, right? That's
absolutely.
That absolutely, and prayers out to him and comfort to him and his family, but it felt like last night he was able to just get back to basketball, and he was focused and centered, and we saw what we're used to from him when he's at his peak mentally, right? And he was in the game from a mental standpoint, and he's a difference maker and a game changer too. And you want to talk about bang for your buck, there's very few players in this league, when they're on and doing what they do best, that give you more value per dollar than Mcbride does. I mean, he is an essential part of this rotation, and when he's playing well, he's better than Shamit, in my opinion.
Right,
so,
right. Yeah, I agree.
and better for this team because I think he provides a little bit different skill set than Shamet does. That point of attack defense, I think he's not as tall, but I think he's a little more of a dog. And so I think that helps us quite a bit. But he was terrific last night. I mean, and as you said, if he could just but it wasn't just the catch and shoot threes. I thought his job, especially in the fourth quarter, I thought he did a good job using his dribble to create open shots for other people and be a secondary ball handler and playmaker. The Jalen Brunson sat for the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. It felt like and we extended our lead, and part of that was McBride leading the offense some. He and Clarkson seem to really
love those two
together. That is a pairing that really seems to work. And so I'm really encouraged about that. And that's the good part about this early season, trying to find out what works in different combinations. I think that's, that we've kind of hit upon something that's really good, because Hart was playing well defensively. OG was playing well defensively, and Clarkson was doing his job, staying with this man, doing it. I thought he played well defensively last night. Correct me if you think otherwise.
Say that again.
Clarkson played well on defense last night. Like he wasn't locked down or anything, but he was adequate. To say the least. He wasn't a traffic cone. He wasn't hurting us, and he shouldn't, because he has the tools to be a good defender. I think when he was in Los Angeles early in his career, he actually had some decent defensive stats. But as he's kind of gone along, he's kind of become more known as the inefficient scorer off the bench. But that may be a function of the teams that he played for, right? Like Utah was terrible in his time there, except, I mean, maybe not the first season he was there, but the last 2 years they were awful. And so when you're on a bad team, maybe you don't have the same level of defensive effort, that you do and look, he realizes early on that if I don't defend, I'm not going to be on the court. Like, coach will play Landry Shamet and Deuce McBride, and I'll sit. So I know I have to do this. I know I have to play the right way, but I also know that I'm going to get shots, right? Because that's the other key thing. Everybody is getting shots. Like, everybody is getting opportunities with this offense, and I think that's the best way to play, because it keeps when you're getting to eat, it keeps you more focused on the other side of the court too. And when you know that you're going to get some opportunities with the ball on offense, I think that's one of the biggest difference going back to OG Anunoby this year. I think he knows that he's going to get his opportunities with the ball, and that's fueling him, because when we made the trade, if you'll remember, it's one of the things he said. He wanted more responsibility on the offensive end, and all of us were like, but now he's getting that, but we're doing it in a smart way and within the framework of what Mike Brown wants to do, and it's working.
Yeah. It is. In terms, I think Clarkson's defensive effort is definitely better, and Josh Hart's defense has been better as well. He was on Anthony Edwards, and OG was able to get that steal and that breakaway dunk because Hart was able to keep Anthony Edwards in front of him for OG to come and swipe at the ball and get the and get the deflection. So I thought Hart has been, I'm not going to say, OG level, but he's been much better the past few games defensively.
Well, JJ will tell you, and I'm still jealous. JJ got good numbers after his name on YouTube. I got 2552. I got like 7193. I don't know what he did. I don't know why he's more highly favored than me, but probably deserved. But he was very highly critical. He's been highly critical of Hart on the defensive end the last year or so. And I thought that was a difference last night. I thought he did a better job of keeping his man in front of him. And I think with Hart, a lot of times it's a matter of focus. I think he tends to ball watch sometimes, and that tends to get him in trouble. And so look at that, right on cue. Well done with the comments. But he's been better, and he's capable, right? And we've seen this from him before. And I think he's settling into a role that's good for him. 25, 26 minutes. I think he might have played 27 last night, but he was on fire last night. Those are the nights where you do extend his minutes window a little bit more when he is knocking down his shots, and when he's not, then you rein it in a little bit. But he was massive he and Deuce off the bench outscored Minnesota by themselves.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely helps our defense all around. The Knicks had 62 points in the paint too. So if you're getting like points in the paint and you're hitting, your 3-point shots and you're getting second chance points, Minnesota didn't have a chance. Like, you got to stop something. You got to limit something. And the Knicks was just,
that's the dynamic nature of what this Knicks offense can be, right? And I don't necessarily think it's a chicken and an egg argument. I think it's the fact that we are able to score inside, and most teams want to take away the paint first. But when you make that decision, you're scoring inside all of a sudden, because remember, we were not good in the first quarter in this game. Like, we started off slow again, and then we kind of, then in the second half, we were just, the Incredible Hulk on steroids. Like, we were just like pounding them into dust. It was incredible to watch. But so I think it was being able to attack the paint and the spraying, the spraying and praying, as I like to call it, that philosophy is really paying off. And I think it makes a difference because it's the quality of shots from 3-point territory too. We're not taking a lot of contested threes just to get up a shot, or early in the shot clock, just come across the timeline and just hoist it. Usually there's a pass or two involved. It's a screen, a cut that leads to a wide open opportunity, and guys are knocking it down, especially OG Anunoby, who's been fantastic from 3-point territory through what, 8 games now. Hopefully that continues. But I think it can, because he's always been a decent 3-point shooter. So it's not like he's a 25% guy who's shooting 50. Like when Josh Hart first came here from Portland, he hit everything under the sun for like 2 months, right? So from the time he got here, the trade deadline, to the end of the regular season, he was like Steph Curry from 3. We knew that wasn't going to be sustainable, because that's not who he's been throughout his career. But OG's been a good 3-point shooter throughout his career. So maybe if he can continue his career percentage just with that increased volume of 8 attempts per game, that unlocks our offense in a lot of ways. And it makes the defense's life difficult, because if you're having to pay attention to OG Anunoby when Cat and Bridges and Brunson are also on the floor, that's a problem, right? Because that means you can't double team. It limits what you can do defensively. So,
but not just that, Jeff. He's playing both sides of the ball well. You got to be in shape to do that. I'm not seeing it like he's taking 8 threes a game. He's putting the ball on the floor. He's posting up when he has the opportunity. If he gets a deflection, he's going all the way, finishing with power through people. And I don't see where he's slacking on the defensive end because of how much energy he's putting out offensively. He's taking close to 8 3-pointers a game, and he's shooting well. The other point I wanted to make, to piggyback off of what you said, is the Knicks get the ball up the court quicker. They get into their sets quicker. So now they can find and search for the best shot, right? It's not like, one action. No, we got to go to Brunson now. Clock is winding down. They're getting it up earlier in the clock so that they can go through and like, I don't like this. Let's reset. Let's try something else. I don't like this. Like, they can go through their sets, a few times. So I'm really liking that as well. I think OG, to your point, shot making, 3-point shooting will continue. Josh Hart, probably not, but I'm okay with that. I still, the same thing I said about Mitch. I think this roster is built to mitigate Hart's limitations as well. He's not shooting well. You can reduce his minutes, and you can, you could put in, someone else, or you can extend, OG's minutes in a particular game. I don't think you want to do that, all the time. You can go to a 3-guard lineup. There's things you can do to mitigate when he's not shooting well. So I'm not super pumped about the shooting. It's great. I just like the fact that he's that secondary playmaker. you know, and the secondary ball handling when he's in, and the rebound and the pushing and creating shots for others and going to the rack strong and finishing. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. The 3-point shooting is gravy. I mean, we need him to take those shots to keep guys honest. And when he's making them, the offense is just even more dynamic. If he can ever be a consistent 3-point shooter, he would be sixth man of the year. He would be starting on some teams if he can consistently knock down a three.
Hart would be starting again if he can shoot it the three. That
Yeah,
there would
if
be
he can
no
shoot the
reason to
three.
keep him out of the lineup.
That is true. As at the shooting guard, he would start. You're absolutely right. You got the height, you got the size, secondary playmaking, shot making. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, cool. I do want. Go ahead.
It's kind of reminiscent of what the Pacers have done on offense the last couple of years, right? Especially, getting into their offense early, running through their sets 3 and 4 times, getting you in rotation. All of this that you're saying is like that completely reminds me of what we've seen in the postseason against Indiana in each of the last 2 seasons. And now we're doing it. And I think you can say with just as good a talent, if not better. And so that bodes well, because the Pacers were able to carry that offense to the end within one win of the NBA Finals, right? So that's a really good sign.
Yeah. I want to get to the chat before we get out of here, but I wanted to just give Julius Randle a shout out for just continuing his commitment to the Earl Monroe High School. I'm not sure if it's the same, $100 or whatever it was for every 3-point shot. I'm not sure if it's the same, but he's continuing his relationship with them. He's continuing his financial relationship with them as well, despite the fact that he's no longer in New York and he's in Minnesota right now. So kudos to Julius Randle for being the person that, that he is. Let me give a shout out to the chat. Somebody that has a contract extension coming up may not be able to get the money they want because Cat Brunson has contract extensions coming up. Bridges starts his extension next season. We'll see. Mitch was a beast. Absolutely. Mitch is a game changer and always knew this. Just gotta stay healthy. Yeah, no doubt about it. Wiz snuck in here at the end. What a team and what a coach. My boys Deuce, an all-star, all-NBA, all-defense OG, did all right. Randall and Dante look great and almost makes me a little sad. Yeah. I often wonder, not necessarily just Randall and Devo, but Randall, Devo, and Hartenstein. Those 3, if we were able to keep them, what could have happened? But I feel like this team is built to win a championship as well. All right. Shout out to D Ross, Wiz, of course, Randu. If I'm leaving off the numbers, I don't know if that's really your number or you
numbers. We don't need the numbers. We know who they are.
Yeah. Randu, I appreciate you. Sherman, of course, always rocking with us. I appreciate you. Knicks Nation, I appreciate you. Latoria B, JJ, always rocking. Jay Davis, I appreciate you. Wonder Woman, I believe, was in the house, early. BQE for life. I hope you ain't talking about that Brooklyn Queens Expressway. That's one of the worst. Man, you trying to get somewhere.
But if you on it, you're gonna be on it for life, though. That's not a lie. Like if you on the BQE, you better not have a 5 o'clock somewhere appointment, and you're not gonna get there on time. So BQE for life is kind of an accurate statement for anyone who's been on the BQE.
You're right, and you can add the Van Wyck and the Cross Bronx to that too.
And the Belt Parkway, for that matter.
And the Belt. I live near the Belt. Yeah, certain times you're absolutely right, but I feel like anytime I'm on that Van Wyck, I could never get through it.
That's why it should be called a parkway, because you're parked on it. It's not an expressway, because there ain't no express about it.
Yeah, definitely. So we're on tonight for the weekly show. So be sure to join us 9 p.m. Me, Geoff, Ajay, Jerrell, and whoever else may Latory B said, and the LIE. Don't
can't
forget
that.
the LIE. So definitely join us tonight. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Check out Geoff's daily sports blog. The link is in the description. We're off for 3 nights, right? They played Wednesday. They don't play again until Sunday. I believe it's 6:00 at home against the Brooklyn Nets. No letdown. No
We gotta
letdown.
get that game. I
Yeah,
don't want.
yeah.
They're 1-7. I do not want them coming. I don't want them beating us. We just have to take care of business in that game for sure. But my write-up recap for this game won't be till Saturday because I wanted to kind of get Queen's opinion and the panels first. So I kind of saved that. And last night was the Scarlet Knights opening for the season, so that's what tomorrow's article is about, because that's another love of mine. But they're not nearly as good as this Knicks team we get to talk about. 5-3. I think it's important. I think it's important that we get a couple games above 500. Let's extend that, beat Brooklyn, and kind of continue this momentum moving forward, because it's early part of the season, especially with all these home games. Take advantage of MSG and be dominant.
And being at home and being, with your family and eating home cooked, food. Take advantage of that.
And it helps with the injuries, being off a couple days and getting to practice, right? We're going to get a couple days of practice, so that hopefully that helps to get the system ingrained better. So I am really curious to see how we come out Sunday. Sunday games were under Tibbs always seemed to be a struggle, but they were mostly because they were matinees. I hate Sunday matinee games. I think we should abolish them. But hopefully we come out with the requisite energy. If we play up to our capabilities, Brooklyn can't stop us.
That is definitely true. I agree with that. Shout out to Wiz for watching us multiple times, like Tibbs used to watch replays of the games, so you can give us his feedback for the next show. All right. We appreciate you. Geoff, always a pleasure. You make these game recaps and reaction shows fun. I look forward to it. And thank you for leveling up the show, and the same thing on the weekly show as well. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to the replay gang. Shout out to the silent listeners. I hear you, even though you're a silent listener. I appreciate everybody. Until next time, family.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. DopeSoul.
Where you at? Where you at?
DopeSoul.
Where you at? Where you at?
DopeSoul.
What?